All right. Well, welcome everybody. Oh my goodness, it's February. Welcome to 2023. Happy to have everybody here for a wonderful meeting. We're going to be talking about the Lieutenant Governor's Coding Challenge. We're going to be talking about ChatGPT and artificial intelligence and how it affects our industry, our vocation, and our passions. And of course, we got a lot of chapter news in the meantime. So just a reminder, if you're here in person, please feel free to take our attendance form. If you're viewing asynchronously, you can, of course, scan the QR code to get yourself on the attendance as well. Let us know what we can do to serve you better in future meetings. Our agenda for today, chapter news with Christopher and Jackie, followed by a presentation by our friends at CodeJoy. And then we'll have a community news and share out. That's a space for you to share out your thoughts, ideas, passions, needs. And we're going to then, after that, have a little workshop time with, like I said, some artificial intelligence. And we will close, as usual, with a PLC of problems of practice, open discussion, and whatever else you need. To reiterate who your advisors are, who your board is, I'm Mr. Christopher Kerr. I'm Christopher Kerr. Sorry, I've been a teacher for all day. President of the chapter. I teach at Newington High School. With me, as always, is our Vice President and Acting Treasurer, Jackie Corcelli from West Hartford. We have Jamie Lang, our secretary. She's manning the chat. Our treasurer position is available for you if you'd like to step up a little further and be involved and help us out. And our advisors at large, Brad Gell is our chapter librarian over at Central Connecticut State University. We have Dana Russo-Kinnell. She's our social media advisor, making some masterful social media for us. Norm Sondheimer is our legislative advocacy advisor over on the Capitol Hill. And of course, Jen Michalak is our Department of Education rep. We have some grade band positions as well. Dana and Dr. Winnie Yu man both the middle school and the higher education stuff. So if you have a passion at one of these open grade bands to help interface with us, those are great places to step in. We do have a spot open for a high school person as well as an elementary grade band advisor. So that is who we are. Let's get down to some chapter news. Chapter news that I want to chat about, hopping over to the agenda. First up, I want to highlight that there is a scholarship that is, whatever, I'm not doing that. That is available to members to help you cover the costs of attending the virtual CSTA National 2023 Summer Conference. So this is not for your board. This is definitely for our members. So I welcome you to click on that link, sign into the Member Nova website, and take a look at that and see what's out there. That just was sent out to us, hot off the presses. So I don't have any more information than what you're seeing, but I thought you might find that very, very interesting. Of course, I want to remind you of our upcoming meetings. And to do that, I'm just going to hop on over to our homepage. And I have the list right here on our banner. It'll stay there for a second. But we have another virtual in March. And then we are in person for April, getting that spring fever. And we're hoping to have some friends over for some drinks and, of course, have some good chat. There'll be no formal agenda for that one. It's just us blowing off some steam and hopefully getting our last-minute prep for any AP. Before I move away from the chapter website, I wanted to show you, we have a new page for you that you might find of interest. It's in the About Us section, and it is called How You Can Help. We've had a lot of solicitation for people to say, hey, I want to be a part of the chapter in a greater way, but I don't know exactly what you need, and I have certain skills, and I'd love to see how they work. Well, we have a page for you that, of course, highlights all of our electable roles, but also just things that we need. For example, next year, under Jackie's leadership, we're going to be having the CSTA New England Regional Conference in Connecticut. It's going to be in October 2023, and we would love to have some single-day volunteers, as well as a few. Oh, thank you, Ruth, talking about the CSTA Equity in Action Summit. If you have a link, throw that in chat. We're always looking for regional advocates. Are you the type of person that likes to host people in your classroom or doesn't mind lobbying or speaking for legislative advancement? We'd love to talk to you. We're looking for mentors. Are you an engaged educator just doing cool stuff and wants to share it? We want to highlight you. Are you a money finder? Do you always have the grant hookup? We would love to talk about ways we can do that. Maybe help us work on sponsorships, a chapter to raise more funds so we can do more great things. Graphic designers, photographers, story writers, whatever your passion is, we have an outlet for you. And if you'd like to contribute to the greater good of computer science education, this can help you. If any of this is something that you're excited about, please reach out to us. You can find my email address on the officers page, as well as we have a contact us. Let me just double check anything else. Yes, oh, we're typing in more stuff. I appreciate that. The only other thing I want to highlight before I turn it over to Jackie for a CSTA New England thing, this is super hot off the press. This hasn't been formalized yet, but one of the things that National is rolling out to us is during this National Summit this summer, they're going to give the Wednesday afternoon, I believe, completely open in the agenda for chapters to host in-person things so that we can get together and incentivize attendance. So a great way for our chapter to raise some funds, as well as really get together over the summer when we're not super stressed, anxiety-driven creatures of madness, would be for us to get together. So I'll be looking for suggestions from the chapterhood as to what you think would be a great way of getting together. And of course, I'll be talking with the officers about how we can make something really cool for the summertime to happen. So, oh, thank you, Ruth. Conference ends at 3:35 Eastern Standard Time. So there'll be no evening stuff. It's just us. We could also do a little evening thing if you want to wear that cocktail dress and suit. I don't know. I'm just playing ideas now. All right.
Is this a virtual or an in-person conference?
The conference from National is virtual this summer, but they are giving us a slot of time during the agenda to host an in-person Connecticut-based event. And I have very little more information than that I'm willing to give out at the moment, but just I want to get the creative juices flowing. Okay. So before I move on, I want to pause for some mindful time. Does anybody have any questions about the business of the chapter or what we've been doing or what we're hoping to accomplish right now? I welcome you to use the raised hand feature if you need to. You can throw something in chat, although I'm trying to watch both. It's a little difficult. All right, Jackie, I'd love to give you the floor so you can fill us in on the happenings of CSTA New England.
Cool. Yeah, I will be as quick as possible, but also as detailed as possible, which is a delicate balance. In the agenda, you'll find that there's a link to CSTA New England's brand new site. I'm going to also copy it and put it in the chat. And if it's okay that I just take over the screen really quick, Chris, is that okay? Okay, cool. All right, awesome. So I'll take you over to this site, and thank you, Ruth, for your help in creating this of our site. It's super exciting. Connecticut is hosting CSTA New England, and this has just been an amazing team effort so far, and I know it will just continue that way. We're having so much fun meeting and once a month roughly to be able to plan this thing, and a lot of decisions have already been made, but there's also a lot of work that's still to be done. So you know, please, we're looking for contributors and we're definitely looking for help. One of the ways that you could help right now is you could put a proposal together and kind of decide. Every one of us, there's not a person here that's attending or watching that doesn't have some story to tell that's connected to computer science. There's some piece of computer science that you're making amazing. If you'd be willing to tell that story to make our conference even better, to hear your voice and to have your voice, this would be amazing. This is a really great, if you've never presented at a conference, it's a great first conference to start with because it's the nicest people. Everybody's there trying to share, and it's all hometown New England, right? It's right here in Connecticut. If you have presented at conferences before, this is also a really cool way to be able to just network, build the network, and to grow. So again, please consider contributing. What we have so far, like I said, is the request for proposals. The deadline to submit is 4/1, and then we'll let you know by the end of the month if it's accepted or not. We'll be continuing updating this site. You can register right now, and there's just more details to come. Please check back here, and I plan to use these meetings to be able to share any cutting edge news too. This conference is our conference, right? Connecticut is hosting. So please, if you've got some suggestions, something that would make it even more Connecticut or homegrown, we really would love your ideas and your input, even if it's just an email to me. And you know, if you can't necessarily make the meetings, that's okay. We love your voice. We'd love to have your voice resonate throughout this whole conference. So thank you. I hope that works, Chris. I don't know if there's any questions or anybody has about it.
Wonderful as usual, Jackie.
Awesome.
We'll pause for
Thank
questions.
you.
Feel free to use the raised hand feature if anyone has any questions. Well, suffice to say, many things are brewing in Connecticut with your chapter. And if you'd like to be a part of that, please reach out to us, because we've got things for us to do, and we'd love to see how we can amplify your message as well. But speaking of amplifying some messages, we've got some guest speakers. Sonia, Sonia, I saw that hand raised. Is there anything I can help with? Nope. Okay. So we have some guest speakers. Big things happening, of course. Lieutenant Governor's Coding Computing Challenge is coming. Actually, it's on right now. And we have two amazing people with us today, Kelsey, Derringer, and Matt Chilbert from CodeJoy. They're here to tell us a little bit about what they can offer for the computing challenge and why they are so amazing. So I'm going to turn it over to them.
Absolutely.
And
great.
You guys have the floor. Okay?
Oh, thanks. Thanks so much for having us today, everybody. I know we're probably a very small square on your screen. Now, we're not going to be presenting any slides. So if you'd like to see us a bit bigger, just find your mouse and put your mouse over the top of us and click that little thumbtack icon to pin us so that we're bigger, so you can see everything we're going to show you. But hello, everybody. My name is Kelsey Derringer.
And I'm Matt Chilbert.
And we are the co-founders of a little company called CodeJoy. And we're really excited this year to be helping out with the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge. Now, Matt's going to step off at this point to take care of some things in the background, but you will see him again in just a minute. But can I just see, just like by a visual raise of hands, have you before this year heard of the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge? Thumbs up if yes, thumbs down if no. No shade either way. Hey, some people have, but some people haven't. That's cool too. But this is the crowd that y'all probably would have. If anybody in the state has, you guys have. But one of the reasons that they brought us in this year to help with the computing challenge was that although they've received hundreds of submissions over the past 2 years of this challenge, a lot of those submissions were from just a couple of schools. They hadn't really, a lot of schools, there were a lot of like coding deserts across Connecticut. And so we've come in to kind of offer some support to get more folks engaged, and it's going really well. So just in case you hadn't heard of it before, a quick overview of the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge. And I see Dana put that link in the chat. So feel free to explore this website a bit, but I'm just going to show you a little bit of what this challenge has to offer. And when you scroll around, you're going to see like me and this side braid and this like green stripy background a lot, because we've, again, helped them do some marketing and such. Hey, awesome. Norwalk, glad you guys are putting in some entries. Get out there. Yeah. But just as an overview of what the challenge is, the general idea is that you ask students grades 3 and up to think of a challenge, a real problem, something that's important to them. Maybe it's an environmental issue, or a health issue, or a mental health issue, or a school issue, an education policy, something that's important to them, and think about how they could use computing to solve it. And computing is also very broad, right? Could be a website design, an app, a wearable technology, a robot, or a game on something like Scratch. And they keep this challenge, or they've kept this challenge really broad for a couple of reasons. One, they're keeping the challenge itself really broad so that teachers can bring this challenge into their existing content. So maybe you know a social studies teacher, or maybe you're a social studies teacher, and you're talking about census data. Well, how could you create a computing challenge or computing solution to help solve a census data challenge? Now, there are also lots of different levels to participate at. So there's students could participate at just the concept challenge level. So in this one, they don't actually have to do any coding. They just think of a problem, they think of a solution, and they write about it. And they just kind of submit their idea. Now, in the prototype challenge, that's where they may start to actually do some coding. So in this one, they start to create whatever that thing is. Maybe they don't make the whole website, but they make a page of it. Or they don't make the whole robot, but they make a sensor, control a motor, and they explain how that would be used in the whole project. Or there's the full development challenge where they actually make the thing, whatever it is they decide to make. And these are not bounded by any coding language, so they're coding language agnostic, and they're not bounded by any grade level. Everything is for grades 3 and up. So you could have 3rd graders who make a whole game on Scratch, and you could have 12th graders who have an idea for something. Doesn't matter their grade. So that's kind of a general overview of the challenge. And you can certainly learn more at this website here, ltgovcc.org. But I also want to point out some of the really cool things that we've brought to the table and brought to the challenge this year by going in the upper right-hand corner to this thing that says teacher and student sessions. Now, one of the things we're offering is some teacher professional development. So if you're new to CSTA, if you're new to CS and you're wondering how can I bring more computing into my classroom, we're going to be offering a couple of evening webinars, kind of like this one, about how you could bring computing into your classroom. So there's one on, and I'll zoom in on it here, really zoom in, one on February 16th. And one in March here. And you can register for those just by clicking on the little robot in a golf cart and join us for those. We're going to be going over the details about the computing challenge, and we're going to show what like the first 10 minutes of teaching with Scratch might look like. So if you've got teachers who are a little nervous about starting something and you want to bring them into the fold and show them how fun it is, we can help you do that with some free professional development here. And February 16th is Sonia's birthday. That's amazing, Sonia. Come hang out with us. We'll sing to you very poorly. It'll be great. So teacher professional development, that's one thing that we're doing. But we're also doing these things we call our CodeJoy student sessions. And these take a little bit of explanation. But you can kind of think of the CodeJoy student sessions as sort of like your favorite PBS show, like Mr. Rogers or Sesame Street, but instead of kids going home and watching these things at home, they're designed to be participated in live during the school day. So they all center around there's these little characters and these little stories, but the whole thing centers around this little hole in my wall back here. You can kind of think of this like Fraggle Rock, but through this little hole in the wall, there are these little robots. And the robots always have some kind of problem that they need to have solved. So let's see what's going on back there today. Oh, yeah, I see. We got robot aerobics. And hey, look,
That's
Matt's
right.
Okay. So what's the story of robot aerobics? Matt, talk and dance.
Yeah, during this show, the kids are actually coding live these servos to make these robots dance. And as they code, the robots are doing more and more ridiculous things. There's no kind of wrong answer here. But as an added bonus, they also get to sort of control us because we have to sort of dance along with them. And it's really difficult. But it's a lot of fun for the kids. We look silly. The robots look awesome. And you guys could participate. I think Kelsey has some more information on that.
Absolutely. Normally, I'm the one back there dancing a throw. It's harder than it looks, isn't it? Yeah. So how you can participate, something we noticed about student sessions like this is that if we just say, hey, this is happening on Thursday at 11, nobody can come because whose class period starts on the hour? That's not how school works anymore, right? So what we've done is we've given teachers the ability to sign up for these classes at dates and times that work for them. So we did some back in December. We did some again last week. And by the way, so far, we have served almost 1,000 kids and over 50 teachers with these student sessions. So when I say it's working, we've gotten 1,000 kids and 50 teachers aware of this program in a way that they hadn't been before. But the last one coming up is robot aerobics, as you just saw. So you can go in here and just today, like literally right before this meeting, we added a couple more dates. So teachers can go in and let's say I'm looking at March 8th here. Okay, and they can go in and say, okay, 8:40 a.m. That's when my class starts. And what you can do is you can then book that time for just your kids at just your school. And it blocks it off on our calendar so nobody else can come. But these student sessions, we can have up to 400 students that can come to these things. So you've got 20 kids in your class, but there are some other teachers whose class period also starts at 8:40 a.m. How many of them could you get to bring their kids? The kids join from their own computers or Chromebooks from the classroom. The teacher might put us up on like the projector or something, but it's really like they're watching a live TV show, but they're learning to code and they're controlling real robots during it. So that sounds like something that's interesting to you. Make sure you head to ltgovcc.org and check out all of these cool, fun resources that they have to offer. We hope we see you for some student sessions, and we hope we see you for some professional development coming up later. So pause here for questions, and also feel free to go ahead and unpin us because we're not going to be as fun to watch anymore. So thank you so much to CSTA, the Connecticut chapter, for having us tonight. And we're really excited to continue working with Connecticut teachers. Thanks, everybody.
That was awesome.
Thanks. We really like being here. You guys are great.
Yeah, you can see we got the new emoji feature down the bottom there, and people are giving you some love, which is great. I want to know about your camera setup and how you're doing multi cameras and everything, and your software. That's from a home studio guy myself, but yeah.
Yeah, well, this is all Matt's doing. Our camera setup. We've got 9 different cameras, and we're using OBS to switch between cameras.
Only 9 cameras? Okay, that's all right.
Only 9.
Only 9.
Yeah.
No, wonderful.
Yeah, but during the live sessions, we also cut in some pre-recorded bits to sort of like add to the story of the show. So they're not just programming robots. The kids are actually kind of guiding the story.
Yeah.
So.
Very fair. So I am going to pause, see if anyone has any questions. We will use the raised hand feature, which is on the bottom. And I'm going to open up the queue now. And I see Norm. Norm, hi. You are muted. You are still muted.
And Norm, we really want to hear what you're saying, but go ahead and unmute.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm old, so what can you do? Hey, I was with these folks when they kicked off the event with the Lieutenant Governor of New Britain. And let me tell you, what did we have? Over 100 kids, right? They were so excited. Yeah, it just worked so well. So if you have a chance to engage them, it's really great. Sadly, the people that they need to reach are the people that don't come to CSTA meetings. But so spread the word, please.
And that's part of the strategy. If we can engage you guys, Joanne and Dana and Winnie and Christian and Paula, you guys invite your friends, that's how we get them, because you guys are like, yep, they're cool. We checked off. They're cool. And you invite other teachers in because now they trust you, right? They don't know us, but they trust you. So that's the strategy. For 3rd grade and up is the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge. So 3rd through 12th grade.
And there's different challenges. So you're not competing against high school kids in category if you're bringing in 4th graders.
Yeah. 3rd through 5th, 6th through 8th, and 9th through 12th. They're kind of the grade bands there.
And as someone who attended the awards ceremony last year, it was darling, it was wonderful, vibrant, and you definitely want to make sure that you're trying to get in. All right. Well, wonderful. Friends, it was really great having you join us tonight. You don't have to stay. You don't have to either, but we're here going to do some more computer science stuff. You're welcome to join and hang out, or you can head out and enjoy the rest of your night, whatever you feel you need to do. If you want to hang out and chat, in case anyone has any questions, you can do that as well. All right, so I'm going to pop back over to the slides. There we go. All right, so the next part is our chapter activity. And before I go much further, I just want to clarify that on some of these slides, there is some semi-adult content because we're talking about technology that is invading us in a variety of different places. So I'm going to provide you upfront trigger warnings for not safe for work content, as well as the potential for, there's a slight moment where we'll talk about sexual assault. So I'm just putting that out there. I know topically speaking, it doesn't make sense for a CSTA meeting, but I think you'll understand the direction it's going in, and it will be brief. Okay, so I just want to be clear on that. So I want to talk about artificial intelligence because we're all freaking out about ChatGPT and what it means for us, because we've seen the horror stories about how you can just type in, hey, ChatGPT, write me a piece of Java that will do blah, 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 and it gives you the code, and then you can copy the code, you can put it into your IDE, and you've just submitted your work. And, you know, that was fine when it was the math classes, the calculators, or if it was a language translation for the world languages, because they're not us, but it's time for us. So I gathered a few slides on this, and boy, was it, every time I was on the internet, I found a new example of how AI is changing our lives and changing our jobs. Just kept updating the slide deck. So I'll be brief on what we're saying, but I want to, artificial intelligence, threat or menace. One of the first things that now we have things, character AIs, where you can go to a website, and I've linked it, where people have fed in information, data sets, to mimic the behaviors of various celebrities, people of renown. So if you want to talk to Elon Musk, ask him questions, you can click on the Elon Musk AI and have a conversation with that person. And of course, it's all made up. It could be offensive, but that's the data that they're feeding in. So I plant that as the first seed of thought as to where this is going in the web of what we're weaving here. The next slide has some slightly objectionable content. So another way AI is being used is to create images. Now, specifically not safe for work images. Now, there are implications in our society about what this means, but one of the things I wanted to highlight was a huge scandal that happened last week on Twitch TV, which is an online streaming and gaming platform that's bigger than most cable networks, where a male streamer was caught watching deep fake videos of female streamers. And obviously, this is incredibly violating. This is incredibly scary that someone's body was used without their consent in a virtual manner. And to this one person, I posted her tweet, and you can click on her link to see more of her story. But she equated this to her own experience of a physical sexual violation in her college years. Holy cow. So you put these two slides together immediately. You have the idea that you can generate somebody that matches a profile of a person that you would like to be desired to, as well as a personality. This is how we could start creating parasocial relationships. This is going to take us away from the reality of people. I'll pause on that thought to continue onward. Some of the challenges that we're facing is that our own personal data is being used to feed AI databases. For example, the Adobe Creative, they're using any content that you're using on their site to feed content algorithms. It's another example how our data is being used. It's not just our addresses and social security numbers, it's also our creative media and any other kind of asset that we generate that's digital. So once again, this is going further than our legislative abilities. I then go one step further to talk about the fact that we can now generate artificial intelligence people, faces, and there's a lot that can happen with this. So what I want to do is, at this point, I fed you a few bits of information about generating of content and how it's being used. I want to talk about the AP Computer Science Principles curriculum always has us inquire about society, economy, and culture. What are the positive effects and negative outcomes to the use of these technologies? So what I think I want to do is I want to pause. And you have access to these slides. We're going to stay just at 18. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to pop open some chat rooms real quick, some breakout rooms. We're going to pop into these rooms and just have a discussion. The prompt is basically, what are some of the positive outcomes? What are the negative outcomes? Where do you see this going from here? And when we come back, we'll share out some of those thoughts. And then I'll talk about how this can look in our classroom, how the use of AI tools can affect our classrooms. So start brainstorming now. I'm setting up the breakout rooms, and set up breakout rooms. I'm gonna have 4 or 5 rooms. That's gonna have 4 people per room, and I'm gonna launch this thing, and I'll just call us back in a few minutes. Okay, it's been a while since I've used in rooms at a set amount of time. We're gonna put 5 minutes on the clock. Okay. So I'm gonna click this breakout room. You're gonna get an invite. Head on over there. And I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay? Opening rooms. Brickham's ending in 15 seconds. All righty. For those of you watching asynchronously, we just had a 5-minute rousing discussion on ChatGPT. We're going to come back and share out now. Well, welcome back, my cherubs. So would anyone like to share out some of their thoughts, like concepts of the AI that we talked about before I move forward with how it can fit into our classroom situation? Feel free to use the raised hand feature if you like. Go ahead, Norm.
Actually, I'd like Brad to discuss his skepticism. Not going to happen, huh?
Mm. That's all right. Go ahead, Jamie.
I think just one of the ideas that came up in my breakout room from Christian, I think it was Chris. Nope, sorry. It was our friends over at CodeJoy, I think. They said, well, it's here. So, and that's kind of how I feel about all AI is like, it's not going away. So, what's the next step?
Yeah, I think it's always been here in some capacity. You could always go on some website and ask a question and someone will give you the answer. I mean, whether the answer comes from an AI or some developer somewhere else who happens to be on Stack Overflow, it's always been here. In fact, when our students leave here and get a job somewhere, the best number of lines of code to write to solve a problem is 0 because someone already did it for them. I mean, that's just the way things work. So I think it's a good opportunity for us to think about what we really want our students to learn, right? What we really want our students to learn. Do we really want them to learn how to produce a program in a vacuum, or or what? So I don't know.
Bring it.
Opportunities.
Brenda, go for it.
So I forgot exactly how the CodeJoy, they said that they, one of their generators actually used it, right? So they used it to start off because they were running out of time. They used it to start off something, and I might be getting this wrong, so please jump in. And it wasn't even perfect code. So then he still had to know the knowledge to go in there and fix it, but it saved him the time of starting it from scratch. And there's a real life example of how it was used. You still needed the knowledge to analyze where it was right or wrong and fix it, and then was able to be more productive with it.
Yeah, the Mike Cotterman, who designs our interactive website that allows the kids to control the robots, we were wanting to add a feature to this website, and he, instead of spending time figuring out how to, exactly, Chris, yeah, with the moves, but instead of him spending time figuring out how to start this thing, he put it into ChatGPT, and it generated something. It wasn't like good or right. It was like wonky and bad, but it was a start. And he could go in and do what Brenda brought up, which is he could do the analysis of the code. He still had to know a lot about what it was going to take to fix it. He didn't have to generate it. He was analyzing it and fixing it.
Yeah, we're not sure what implications that has for the classroom,
No.
but from an industry perspective,
it's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Very fair. All right, friends, I want to just go with those slides. I want to honor our time. So going further, now let's talk about how we can make this work for us in the classroom. And I've linked 3 AI-generated sources. One is a site that generates music. I'm not going to click on them for the sake of brevity. If you'd like to click on them, you can. One that generates videos, which is pretty crazy. And of course, one that generates images. I actually used this one to create one of my latest Dungeons & Dragons characters just by typing in half orc bard that does blah, blah, and it gave me a list of choices, and I was able to tweak it from there. And of course, this next one is a link to Reddit, and it's a fascinating video of how they took an R-rated clip of a girl. She's using the F-bomb, which is why it's R-rated, and it gives you an AI-generated variation of each of the things. So they do it for PG, they do it where she's not speaking but just crying, and it's absolutely fascinating how this is generating from content. So I'll give you a second if you'd like to watch this video. I don't know if I play the video, it would translate over the line, but I will duplicate that link. and I'll paste that into chat. I'm welcome to take a look real quick. All right, coming back. So isn't that absolutely amazing? Absolutely amazing that is in the way it is. And yeah, Jamie, thank you for. I got a little excited. So the question is, here's a link to a web page. It's actually fascinating. It's an index of different AIs, different types of AIs that are coming out. Sort of date of when these things started going up. So you could find AIs for a variety of subsets. And yes, there's an AI for that now. The question I want to pause with is, what do these two slides have in common? What is the commonality between them? I wonder if in chat you could throw a single word out there that might be what you believe is the commonality. Kelsey says a generative and not predictive algorithm. Indeed. The underlying technology models can use to train them is likely similar, also very true. Let's get really simple and say they're all great for creating artifacts. So now let's get to the of these things. Now, as a game maker, the person who creates games, I no longer have to rely so deeply on other people to bring my ideas to life. I can use AI to make my music and special effects. I can use AI to make the sprites for my game, potentially. I can use AI to write the dialogue, to do this marketing and social media posting, to write some of the code asterisk, and of course, to generate ideas for levels and abilities. So I can start using the toolbox of all of these intelligence programs to deploy on my usage, much like a carpenter deploying various tools of their trade to build something. And I can make a video game with less barriers, or a concept for a game that then I could then pay people to do more professional results with. This is the springing off that I think we need to emphasize in our classrooms, as long as we're trying to debate, are we banning it or embracing it? And I've linked two articles here, one on New York City banning students and teachers, or a counter from the New York Times saying to do the opposite. In case you're curious, I think this is a really interesting take on this. This is from a web conference from some collegiate level people. And I've got a snippet that's only a minute long. And once again, I'm just going to duplicate this and throw it in chat. Take a minute, just watch like a minute of that. It will seep into the rest of it. But go ahead and just check that out and see what their commentary is. Coming back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very interesting, their take on it. It's that there's a fear in there, but there's also a recognition, like what most sound-minded people would do, is say, how can we use this to our positive? So I'm going to start jumping a little faster now because I was enjoying the landscape of it, but now we got to get to it. Here's some real practical uses for this. Now, if you have the slides and want to just go into the commentary section, you can find I got the copies of code down the bottom. If you have time in your own time, I welcome you to bring this into ChatGPT. You can copy paste this piece of code and say, what's wrong with this code? And, you know, I'm curious, can anyone quickly spot the problem with this code before ChatGPT does? Three, 2, 1. Oh, we got a last line syntax. Is actually, you got two things, friends. Once again, we missed a semicolon in the third instruction line, as well as the closing parens. And this is just not a proper output line at all. So it's really two things. But what a great way. We can use ChatGPT. It'll find it. It'll tell us and correct it. And that's a really great thing. You know what? Let me give this a shot. Oh, I'd have to use a different Google account, which I'm not interested in doing. So you can certainly find it, and you can paste it and say, hey, what's wrong with this? It'll tell you, which is pretty cool. And again, we have to start embracing this as a tool. You can see here where I have it in here. I say, okay, could you debug this piece of code? And it absolutely did. And it tells me you have a semicolon at the end of the line, and this should be system printout. So good job, my programmers. Gold star for today. Now, one of the things it's interesting for teachers, we can have it generate some challenges for our kids. So I said, could you write a programming challenge that would assess someone using arrays? And it created a question using arrays. You know, whether or not this is the most rigorous of questions to the scale of your classroom or even accurate is for us to then figure out. But it could be used for that level of inquiry. Going further, you can see how I started dipping into, can it help us with the FRQs? So I started trying to trigger it to reference FRQs, and it was really quick to tell me, no, we're not dealing with that. So maybe they have something in place where it's going to stop the FRQs from being read, or perhaps if you input a specific FRQ, it might be able to. If you're not familiar with an FRQ, those are the written response programming activities in the AP Computer Science A assessment. So ultimately, we have to embrace it as a tool. And to quote the actual dude who created this, generative text is something we all need to adapt to. We adapted to calculators and changed what was tested for math classes. I imagine this is a more extreme of that, no doubt, but the benefits are more extreme as well. So finally, this is how this lands in our classroom. Besides being a tool, in the past and in our current, we are assessing kids based on the products they deliver. We give them a programmatic assignment, they create the program, they deliver it, we grade it, we give them feedback, and everyone is happy, except now we can't be. The real problem, and the thing that we really want from industry level candidates, is people that can think critically about algorithms to decide the design, why they did something, and be able to explain it. My own career benefited hugely because I was able to talk to non-programmers about programmatic stuff. So what we're really looking for is, it is no longer the product that is delivered as the assessment. It's the deep and technical review, which should be the thing that we are talking about now. It is the inquiry. In your draft, you're using arrays for your data storage. Final product, you switch to dictionaries. Rationale, ... Or why did you choose a double instead of an integer for this variable? Did you develop in your development diary 10% of your project and your document will be used to twice a week? So we're talking about the process of generating our algorithms now, and then the explanation as to why we went and did what we did. And I think that's really where we're going to start getting, because we're going to force kids to communicate, to present, to verbalize, and to translate and distill their knowledge from the head into the voice. And I think that's really where we have to be as far as embracing these tools for future use. So if you want to go even further, our friends in Western Mass, Beryl, did a magnificent deep dive on this as well. You'll see some similar ideas because we both kind of came to the same conclusions. And her video is here and her slides are there. So that's a welcomed addition to the work that we're doing. And of course, there is a link to ChatGPT. You would need your phone for first-time authentication if you ever wanted to play with it. But I'm going to just pause for any questions. But I also want to acknowledge I completely skipped out these share outs. So I want to make sure I've got time for that. And I apologize to my friends that are here because of that. So you know what? Let's just do this now. We'll do the community news and share outs. And then if we want to have some discussion, we can certainly have that afterwards. Okay. So communities and share outs. I'm going to ask Jamie. She's going to come forward and be our moderator for this discussion. If you've got a thought, a concern, something to share, I want to hear it. And this is a great place to do that. So
yeah,
Jamie,
Jonathan, thanks, Chris. Jonathan, I know you had an announcement you mentioned at the beginning. Do you want to share it with us?
Sure. Well, it's time of the year for us to work on setting up our high school programming competition again. And so what we'd like to do is we'd like to get a sense from everybody here about sort of when we could think about scheduling it. We have a few dates that we think we should probably avoid based on the timing of things. We think we should avoid March 4th, the 31st, April 1st, and April 22nd, either because we're doing something or we think there might be something going on other places. But I'm kind of hoping that everybody could give me a list, at least start to give me a feel for when we could schedule our competition this year that would try and help the most people. And for the record, if you want to just email me afterwards and tell me so I don't take up too much of this time, I'd appreciate that. Just some sort of like things you haven't thought of, like don't forget this is when AP tests happen, or this is when this happens, or anything like that that we might find useful. We'll see if we can't do constraint satisfaction and meet the most needs.
Thanks, Jonathan. If you want to put your email in the chat, I'll make sure it gets into the notes. And just for everybody here who might not be familiar with you, could you remind us what organization you're representing?
I am faculty at Quinnipiac, and we have a high school programming competition every year. I think we're fast approaching our 20th year, I think it is. It might actually be this year. I'll have to go look. Yeah, and so it's one of our favorite times of the year. We love having people come on campus. We were remote, and then last year we were hybrid. We haven't exactly decided how we're going to manage that this year. We might be hybrid again. We might be all on campus. Who knows? But anyway, we'd love to have any high school teams that would like to come to join us whenever we decide we want to have it.
Yeah, thanks so much. Did anyone else have any news they wanted to share out? Thanks, Kelsey. I'll add your email to the meeting notes as well. Any other community news? Or questions, problems of practice? Going once, going twice. All right, back to you, Chris.
all right, thank you. Top secret buzz. The NC WIT results have been reported to the state reps. Keep an eye on your boxes. We would announce something. They haven't come out yet. So I'm going to share out one final thing. I'm going to just share a window. I did log into chat during the share out, and I haven't seen it yet. I linked my Google account for my work address, and you can see that I have a variety of different sessions. But here's the one I did when I was decoding that text you had, and it told me right here the output, and I can copy this code and then paste it into my other thing. And you can see where I then tried exploring FRQs for various things, as well as tried to for specific things on various FRQs. And here's my create assessment using arrays activity. So you basically type something in, create a Java program which would return the largest number from a list of 100 values. And it will start working and creates that result. and I can change the language to Python or any others. I believe it's using the back end of GitHub as its knowledge base. But eyeballing the code right now, it's looking pretty reasonable. The only thing I'm disappointed in is it doesn't have any comments in the code. Could be an indicator of plagiarism if our students ever turns without any comments. But there, and it even explains a little bit. So there you go. All right, friends, just hopping back over to the slides. We're basically at the end of our meeting and our closing slides. I'm just going to put those back up on the screen and share them out. How we do the ends of our meetings. First off, I will wrap up the meeting and close it, but then we'll have a chance after recording for problems and practice and open discussion. So we'll have that part of the conversation after the recording has ended, so we can feel comfortable be sharing thoughts, concerns, et cetera, et cetera. So first, let me just wrap up the meeting with the usual footer of information. Thank you very much for coming out, for enjoying a quick conversation on how a world is changing and how you can get involved in Lieutenant Governor's Coding Computing. If a moment, please take a moment to click. I'm going to paste into the chat. Thank you. Of course, Jamie, always a step ahead of me. Make sure you've registered for our attendance. And of course, if you have any questions, you can reach out specifically at my professional email or my Twitter. But of course, we have a Facebook page for us. Please give us a follow, like, subscribe, ring the bell, whatever it is. Help us out. I'm now going to stop the recording so that we have a conversation if anyone wants to stay on and chat about anything else. But thank you again. See you all in March for our virtual, and then again April for it in person, and then we finalize with May virtual one more time with elections for new officers. And I just need to stop recording. 1 second, friends.